Welcome to Lesson 2 of Creating Your Conlang. In this lesson, we'll focus on syntax at the word level, specifically looking at verbs, nouns, adjectives, and pronouns. These building blocks will define the basic structure of your language and how ideas are expressed within it. Overview of word classes. Every natural language categorizes words into different classes, such as verbs, nouns, adjectives, and pronouns. How these classes function and interact in your conlang will play a big role in defining its identity. Here's a brief overview of the word classes we'll cover. Nouns. Words that represent people, places, things, or abstract concepts. Verbs. Words that describe actions, states, or occurrences. Adjectives. Words that modify nouns by describing qualities or attributes. Pronouns. Words that replace nouns to avoid repetition or indicate perspective, e.g., I, you, this. You'll decide how these parts of speech behave and interact in your conlang. Nouns. Nouns are a foundational part of any language. Here are key questions to ask when creating nouns in your conlang. 1. Singular and plural. Does your language distinguish between singular and plural nouns? If yes, how is plurality marked? Examples. Suffix. Add a suffix like cat, singular, and cats, plural in English. Prefix. Use prefixes like Swahili, NTU equals person, Wata equals people. Vowel change. Alter the word's vowels, like goose and geese in English. No marking. Plurality is inferred through context. 2. Case system. Does your language use cases to show the grammatical role of a noun? If so, you'll need to define case markers. Examples of cases. Nominative. Subject of a sentence, the dog runs. Accusative. Direct object, I see the dog. Genitive. Possession, the dog's bone. Dative. Indirect object, I gave the bone to the dog. 3. Gender/classes. Will nouns have gender or grammatical classes? This can add complexity and cultural flavor. Examples. Binary gender. Masculine and feminine, e.g., Spanish, niño equals boy, nina equals girl. Multiple genders, masculine, feminine, neuter, e.g. German, der Mann, masculine, die Frau, femme. Das Kind, neutral. No gender, many languages, e.g. Turkish, don't have grammatical gender. Verbs. Verbs drive the action in a sentence. Here are some decisions to make about verbs in your conlang. 1. Tense. How does your language express time? Do you have past, present, and future tenses? Examples. Inflection. Add a suffix, prefix, or change the verb's form, e.g., English, walk, present, walked, past. Particles. Use separate words, like will in English for future tense. No tense marking. Use context to indicate time. 2. Aspect. Aspect expresses how an action unfolds over time. Common aspects include perfective, completed actions, e.g., I ate. Imperfective, ongoing actions, e.g., I was eating. Habitual, repeated actions, e.g., I eat every day. 3. Mood. Mood conveys the speaker's attitude toward the action. Examples include indicative, statements of fact, I go. Imperative, commands, go. Subjunctive, hypotheticals, if I were rich. 4. Voice. Voice indicates whether the subject is acting or being acted upon. Active. The subject performs the action, I wrote the book. Passive. The subject receives the action, the book was written by me. Adjectives. Adjectives describe nouns, adding detail to your language. 1. Position. Where do adjectives go relative to the noun? Before the noun, English, blue house. After the noun, French, maison bleue. Either position, depending on emphasis or grammatical rules. 2. Agreement. Do adjectives agree with the nouns they modify? No agreement. English adjectives don't change. Blue is the same for singular/plural. Agreement. Spanish adjectives change to match gender and number. Niño alto, tall boy. Nina alta, tall girl. 3. Degree of comparison. How does your language form comparative and superlative adjectives? English, big, bigger, biggest. Separate words. Add particles for comparison, e.g., more big or least big. Pronouns. Pronouns replace nouns and are essential for reference and perspective. 1. Types of pronouns. Personal, represent people, I, you, he, she, it, we, they. Possessive, show ownership, my, your, their. Demonstrative, point to specific items, this, that, these, those. Interrogative, used in questions, who, what, which. Relative, connect clauses, who, which, that. 2. Person and n. 3. Gendered versus neutral pronouns. Does your language have gender-specific pronouns, e.g., he, she? Does it have neutral options, e.g., they? Practice exercises. Create a word paradigm. For each word class, create 5 to 10 example words. Try marking distinctions like tense for verbs or plurality for nouns. Example for nouns. Singular, to rock equals tree. Plural, to rocko equals trees. Example for verbs. Present, minar equals to walk. Past, minute equals walked. Future, minaru equals will walk. Write simple sentences. Combine your nouns, verbs, adjectives, and pronouns into sentences. The blue tree grows. Equals, to rock azul minaras. Experiment with word order. Change the order of words in your sentences to see what feels natural for your Conlang. SVO. Subject verb object, the cat eats fish. SOV. Subject object verb, the cat fish eats. VSO. Verb subject object, eats the catfish. Umber. Does your language distinguish between first, second, and third person? How do you mark singular, plural, or other distinctions, e.g., dual, trial? Examples. English, I, first person singular, we, first person plural. Inclusive versus exclusive we. Some languages, e.g., Hawaiian, distinguish between we including you and we excluding you. 3. Gendered versus neutral pronouns. Does your language have gender-specific pronouns, e.g., he, she? Does it have neutral options, e.g., they? Practice exercises. Create a word paradigm. For each word class, create 5 to 10 example words. Try marking distinctions like tense for verbs or plurality for nouns. Example for nouns. Singular, to rock equals tree. Plural, to rocko equals trees. Example for verbs. Present, minar equals to walk. Past, minute equals walked. Future, minaru equals will walk. Write simple sentences. Combine your nouns, verbs, adjectives, and pronouns into sentences. The blue tree grows. Equals, to rock azul minaras. Experiment with word order. Change the order of words in your sentences to see what feels natural for your Conlang. SVO. Subject verb object, the cat eats fish. SOV. Subject object verb, the cat fish eats. VSO. Verb subject object, eats the catfish. Next steps. In the next lesson, we'll explore sentence structure and syntax in more depth. You'll learn how to combine words into complex sentences and define grammatical rules for your language. By building on today's word-level syntax, you'll be able to bring even more depth to your Conlang. Happy Conlanging!